Come on in. Come on in for those of you who are excited to be here. It's very interesting. Let's see. Is now going on to live stream. All right. I believe we are in here on live custom stream. We are on live custom stream. Let me just double check the different places. It's not looking like we actually are in the different places. So, I'm in here. Hey guys, I'm seeing some people coming in. Hello, everyone. Really excited to have you all here. Super excited to be here with you all. I'm just getting everyone set up for tonight. I'm super excited to be here with you all. This is going to be great. All right, there we go. All right, hello everyone. Hello. Let's see. Hi. I see a couple people are coming in. I think. Hello. Andrea, hi Andrea. Hi Yasmin. Hi everybody. So good to see you all. We are, getting in here. Tell your brothers, sisters, cousins, anyone. We are in here. I'm so excited, you guys. I'm so excited for tonight. This is about to be so good. Oh my gosh. This is about to be so good, guys. Because tonight we are talking about a lot of different things. Oh my gosh, I'm really excited. I know you guys are probably like, hey Sloane, what you doing on here? What you doing? Your hair's done? You look, you're here. What's up? I'm just so excited to be here with you guys tonight because we are talking about Becoming the One podcast. This is the Digital Dating Labs. This is going to be so much fun, guys. So we're just waiting for some more people to get in here. Oh my gosh. Hi, Monica. We're just waiting for some more people to get in here, but I'm so excited for tonight, guys. Oh my gosh. Because first of all, I've been like behind the scenes with you guys. I've been kind of looking through the Facebook group, perusing, okay, getting to kind of know you guys in different ways. And so it's so different. It's so different to kind of be in the forefront, but I'm super excited because I know that, you guys have a lot to say. You guys have, there's so much going on in the group. It's all vibes in the group. It's amazing in the group. And so I'm really, really excited. I think you guys are saying you can't hear me too well. Here is 1:03 a.m. Hey. Can you guys hear me pretty good? Can you guys hear me? Just let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments if you guys can hear me well. I want to make sure that you guys have an excellent time tonight. I want to make sure that we have a good time in here. So yeah, I'm so excited to be here with you guys. I'm going to go ahead and start this thing off by just kind of letting you guys know who I am. My name is Sloane. I've been on here a couple of times, not too many times. I've been in the background. I kind of pop in, help and make sure that your guys' experience are going excellent. I'm always in here trying to make sure, you guys are having a good time in the Facebook group. I'm always interacting with you guys. And so this time I'm coming on to the forefront to kind of be here with you guys. I work for MMG. Okay, so that's kind of in tandem. That's the TOU team. That's all of us in the background, and we work so hard trying to make sure you guys have like the most amazing experience in your group. Okay, and we work with the other different things that are kind of kin to what we do here in this particular group. So that's Leader School, that's all of the different things. So with that being said, me being over in those areas, I chat with all of those people too. But in here, TOU's a different vibe, guys. It's a super different vibe. It's the best, okay? Because in here, we get real, okay? We get real in here and we talk about the real situations about being single. And I love it. I love it so, so, so much. And so this time I kind of stepped into the forefront because of Becoming the One podcast. So let me know, guys, in the comments, are you familiar with Becoming the One, are you familiar with Becoming the One podcast? If so, say yes in the comments. If you are, oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for complimenting on my dress. It's actually a shirt, but let me know if you are familiar with the Becoming One podcast. It's such a great group. And so if you're familiar with that, let us know in the comments. Let us know what you're familiar with. Yes, I love the podcast too. So you guys all know Amanda. We all know Amanda. Amanda is amazing. Amanda is great. Amanda is, our homegirl, our sis. She understands what's going on. So if you guys didn't know, today, episode 1 of Becoming the One podcast aired today. So it aired today, and Amanda, she passed the baton to me. Yes, Andrea said she heard Amanda's announcement. Yes, so Amanda announced that I am the new host of the Becoming the One podcast. That's why I'm here. And so if you guys haven't had a chance to listen to that episode, I let you guys in my business. So if you guys want to, come and help your sis out and walk and talk with me, just like we do in TOU, listen to episode 1. But for today, we are giving you guys an exclusive. We're giving you an exclusive, okay? Because you know what? We just thought it's no fun if TOU can't have some, okay? TOU has to be in it, okay? TOU has to be, they have to get all the ooey gooey good stuff. So we were like, letting TOU in on it. And we just thought, you know what, for one time only, we want to let everybody else into it too. So if you are, outside, you're not a TOU member, but you are here for this live, you are here to listen about the good and the bad and the ugly of dating. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for joining our TOU members, okay? Thank you for being here during this one. And this is the only one that you guys get to be in here on. But you know what? Maybe when we open up the school again, you'll want to join. So, we're excited to have you here. For my TOU members, you know how we do. You know how we get down. So I'm super excited. Thank you guys for congratulating me on becoming the new host. Yes, it's a really, really awesome opportunity. Because if you guys didn't listen to episode 1, I get really vulnerable with you guys, and you're going to see this throughout the podcast. So a thing about me is I truly believe that me being vulnerable and me being honest about my singleness journey is really what unlocks other people. And I know you guys can say that for yourselves. Transparency is a lovely and beautiful gift. And so in episode 1, I get really transparent and I let you guys in on my dating and singleness journey. So something that we have done in Becoming the One podcast season 4 is that we started a dating chronicle. Okay. So in this dating chronicle, we started to let people in, we invited our TOU members, our OGs. We even invited in our coaches, Brittany and Rob. Okay, we have a couple of different guests that came in from TOU. They're TOU members, there's TOU OGs, and even our coaches came in to talk to us about their experience. So what we're doing right now for this digital dating lab is we're bringing in the people who were a part of the dating chronicles, and we brought it live on here for our TOU members and for one time only our outside guests to experience kind of the podcast feel, but also just so we could kind of talk about this dating thing, guys, because you guys, this dating thing is really no joke. And especially for those of us who, are really trying to date God's way, which I know you guys all are. Okay. Dating God's way is totally different. It's a mind shift. Okay. It's a dedication. Okay. It's honoring God. It's honoring yourself. And so not a lot of people, you don't see it on TV. You don't really see it. You don't see it in pop culture. You don't see it. And the church kind of tiptoes around it. So what we wanted to do here today is we wanted to open up a space and create a space where we could be honest and transparent and talk about the realness of dating. And I'm not talking about sugarcoating it, okay, and saying like, oh, it's all beautiful and butterflies. No, getting real, okay? Talking about the dating apps, okay? Talking about the good, bad, and the ugly, okay? And then also at the end of the day, providing hope. So I'm really excited to introduce this guest. This particular season for episode 6, we had someone who is a TOU OG come in and talk to us about her dating story. Okay, I'm so excited to announce this person because I just love that she comes in, she keeps it real, she's honest, she's integral, okay, and she's also just a lovely woman of God. So I'm so excited to invite Miss Brianna Whiteside on. Hello, Miss Brianna.
Hi.
Oh my goodness. I'm so happy to see you. She looks beautiful. Just everyone give a round of applause. Look at
y'all are so kind. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining today. Thank you for, jumping on and being with me today. I'm so excited to be here with you. So we kind of jump things off, with Becoming the One podcast, and episode 1 released today, but we're talking about episode 6, and episode 6 is all about dating and deconstructing. So this is a thick conversation, I think. A lot of people don't know what dating and deconstructing is, so I'm kind of gonna explain, what we're talking about real quick. So dating and deconstructing, the premise of the episode was for us to kind of just go into our old mindsets, guys. Like, I know I'm not the only one on here, and I know Brianna's not the only one on here. I know those of you who've been in TOU, you guys understand that, sometimes, in your mind, you're just like, it's honestly shallow, but it's a thing that people do. And it takes a lot of working out of those mind frames and really kind of understanding, it's honestly understanding Jesus Christ even more, coming out of that mindset. But what happens is, you get this mindset of who you're supposed to date. They've got to be a pastor, they got to be a preacher, they got to do this, they got to do that, they got to be this, they got to be that. And then you narrow in on that and you're like, anybody else that comes from any other type of sphere or any other type of area, they are just not it for me. And so Brianna and we went really deep in episode 6 and we talked about that, which is so exciting. But before we get deep into the meat of that, I kind of want Brianna to just introduce herself and just let us know about her. So hi, Brianna.
Hey, all right. So I am Brianna Whiteside, but I'm Dr. Brianna Whiteside, if people want to call me that. I am a college professor, and I'm also a CEO of a publishing company, Whiteside Publishing. I was one of the founding members of TOU back in the day, and I matriculated through all of the modules and things of that nature. And I'm super excited to be here speaking with you all today about dating and deconstruction. I'm a native of Chicago, Illinois, but I live in Las Vegas, Nevada right now, where I teach at a university. And I'm super excited to be here.
Yes, thank you so much. So y'all, doctor. Okay, let's just put it doctor. Okay, I think I even said that on the podcast. I was like, do I call you?
Only in the academic space. It's just Bree. Anywhere else.
Yes. Yeah. And the first time I met you, I know you, Brianna. The first time I didn't first meet you on the podcast, or I also thought that I met you on Clubhouse. Y'all, Brianna be out here, she be pushing it, she be working. So I was on Clubhouse with a mutual colleague actually from MMG, and we were talking about dating in that space, and I was like, who is this woman that's dropping You guys, she was dropping gems in there, but I didn't know prior to that she was actually over our newsletter last year. So I mean, I was just like, oh my gosh, like so a part of TOU. You were in the beta TOU group.
I was in the beta group doing videos talking about, I'm so excited about where preparation meets education. You know, I joined TOU without even knowing what TOU was. I got this email like from Jamal and Natasha, like, we have some big news. And I'm like, I want some big news. And they dropped TOU. I didn't fully understand what it was, but I signed up for a year membership because I needed to know what they knew. And it's been a lovely journey. So yeah, I matriculated from a beta group member to behind the scenes leader like you on writing for writing for the newsletter, but also writing for the journals or the articles, the blog. So I have several blogs and now I'm in front of the camera.
I love it. No, and I think that's such a good, I definitely wanted to like talk about, like not talk about it, but just, you know, touch on that real quick because like we are literally a family in TOU. Like Brianna was in the beta group. We talk a lot about, you know, people who've gotten married in TOU and like, oh, this couple was here, they found each other in TOU. I think it's also really like important to point out that like we have people, singles in TOU that have like, you know, been in the group and been doing their thing. And I mean, as you guys witnessed, Brianna's a whole doctor, you know, like she got her doctor's degree. Maybe not doctor, but she has a doctor's degree.
I have a PhD, not MD.
Yes, a PhD. Sure. And so it's just like everybody from different spheres and different areas of life, you know, we're all connected here. And this is a family. This is a coming together. And so I just love the fact that, you know, we can have Brianna come in and, you know, chat and it even goes to show like being open about her singleness journey and being open because, you know, the support in the group and, you know, the transparency even that we have in the group, in the Facebook group is so awesome and so unseen and unheard of that it's just so dope that we can have people hop on and talk and chat and be open, even in like an open space like this, be as open and transparent as they can in this space. So for those of you who are not a part of TOU, you're not a member, but you're from the outside looking in, I want you guys to grasp that this is the type of space that you're in right now. This is a space that has community, that has a support system and, you know, can be open and transparent. So speaking of different walks of life, I'm gonna get right into it. Okay, I'm gonna get right into it. So Brianna, tell us a little bit about your kind of dating journey. Like what was going on in your life when you first came to TOU?
Oh my gosh, yeah, for sure. I was in my PhD program second year, but I was also ending a long-term on and off again 7-year relationship, and I was going cold turkey. So I would say that I'm from a single parent home and every woman in my family is a single mother. And so I was very aware of the history of my family, but I wasn't too aware of the destiny of my family. And so I just knew that I didn't want to be a single parent. I didn't want to repeat the same mistakes or make the same choices that the women in my family made. So I had to, at that point, I knew I had to choose something else because if I didn't, I knew what was coming for me. I was auditioning willingly to be a single parent, right? Even though I said I didn't want to. And so I had ended the long-term relationship in March and TOU came in November. And I just want to kind of pin that there or float that as a balloon because it's super important that my prayer to God during that time was, God, I don't know how to leave this relationship, right? I've never seen anyone choose themselves another woman because no one modeled that for me. But secondly, I don't know how to heal. Sorry, Siri's doing something else. I don't know how to heal. I don't know how to walk out this journey of choosing me and choosing you. So I was in prayer about it. I was struggling. And then the One University, that announcement came and it felt like it was an answered prayer for me as someone who values information and education, right? It wasn't a preaching platform. It was a teaching platform. And that's what really kind of helped me journey through and transition through what I was going through. And I want to back up a bit because you said something about different walks and how, this shows you my story, my being here showed you what type of family we are. I think one thing that we don't talk about a lot, which is super important for TOU, is that the healing is not just for relationships. I have to attribute some of my success to TOU, whether it's in relationships or not. My career has leveled up because I've become a whole individual and I can make better decisions about my career and how I move. And so I just want to pin that for people who may think like it's only a dating thing, it's only a marriage thing. It's not. It's for the whole individual.
Yeah, I love that so much. I love that. I love that you said that so much because even my being on the back end and working in the area in the sphere of TOU has totally shifted my mindset, totally, even my heart posture, I'll say. So I can totally attest to that. And I do also want to, like raise your hand in the chat and, put a comment in the chat if you've literally experienced that, like a shift in, in maybe your work sphere, or maybe like just your decision making even. I think that when we talk about dating, we talk a lot about choices and about choosing. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't think about, that the skill set of kind of dating is kind of, and I don't want to say dating, but I want to say like when you're in the season of dating or when you are dating, you are actively using that muscle of choosing. You are consistently making choices. Is this okay for me? Is this not okay for me? Do I want this? Do I not want that? And so I think that, you expressing that is definitely a reflection of when we're in our careers, when we are in different spheres and different rooms and different places and spaces, we have to use that same muscle and mechanism to navigate in those places. So I love that you brought that up. So tell me a little bit about, I want to know what type of person Brianna was interested in. I want to know because, and I'll be open about mine as well, but I want to know what type of person Brianna was interested in before TOU.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let me just remind you all that I am from the South Side of Chicago. Okay, that means I'm from the inner city, I'm from the hood, I'm from the ghetto. All right. So let that paint that picture for you. I was into the bad boy. I mean, what do you mean? The thug love, that's what I wanted. And I mean, even though the thugs had shifted in aesthetic, they probably didn't have their pants hanging down or, just talking street or hood or using African-American vernacular English, but that unavailable type of person, right? And so the thug that was high school changed into the artsy person who was still unavailable. Now, I am not saying every artsy person is unavailable because that is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the ones that I was choosing, right, were aesthetically pleasing, but they were emotionally unavailable. And so the Brianna before TOU chose and navigated towards emotionally unavailable men. And I just have to say this because I didn't have a father in the home. I didn't know what a father's love was supposed to be like or feel like and things like that. And so the unavailable side of them appealed to me because that's what I experienced with my own father growing up. And so, yeah, I just wanted someone who was unavailable. They say with their mouth what they wanted me, but their heart was far from me.
No, yeah, I definitely can relate to that because I've expressed to you that I've definitely been more into the artistic space and things like that. And so prior to coming to TOU and being, part of, this side of just what we do in MMG was definitely that unavailable. And I won't even say unavailable, but I will say passive, like an extremely passive guy that's just kind of like, whichever way the wind blows. And that is definitely not what I want now. Yeah. But okay, so journeying kind of into TOU and kind of, during the time of TOU, what would you say, what shifted? Like, what were you kind of attracted to at that point? Who?
Well, I feel like journeying through TOU, I was still attracted aesthetically to the same person, the artsy type of person. But I would say that my desires began to change because I started to notice what unavailable people did, right? And I just have to say this because I was unavailable to my own self. right? I was trying to date with a persona or send my representative to date somebody. So I was ultimately attracting to myself what I was, right? And so when I'm in TOU, and I didn't actually date for the year that I was in TOU, not because, you know, the founder said don't, I just knew that I was coming out of this relationship. I didn't want to be a victimizer, right? By creating more victims because I was unavailable. And so I just said I wasn't going to date. Now, that doesn't mean that men didn't come at me. I wasn't trying to go back on what I said I wasn't going to do, because I did. But ultimately, I just knew that I wanted something different. And in order for me to get a different result, I had to try something different. And so my desires did begin to change, not saying in attractiveness, absolutely not, but in characteristic, in availability, in spirit, and things like that.
Yeah, that's so good. So I mean, I totally relate to a lot of those things too. Like, no, because I mean, also at the same time, prior to my, you know, becoming, you know, whole and even giving my life over to Christ, because I did not grow up in a home that we didn't go to church. We didn't do any of those things. So I was definitely, you know, navigating, just trying to figure it out. And so I'm seeing a couple people in here. Some people are saying like, wow, I just got out of a situationship like that. And I just went through this and I went through that. And some people are saying that this is a conversation that they've recently had. Like, guys, we are in this with you. We understand what it's like to kind of navigate through that. And even for those of you who even come to TOU and you hadn't given your life over to Christ, that wasn't your background or things like that. We totally understand, you know, what's really going on up in here. So yeah, so let's talk a little bit about kind of this expectation though. The expectation. So something that we talked about, guys, in becoming BTOP, becoming the one, we talked about this kind of expectation of who it is, like who I should be attracted to, the type of guy that I should want, the this, the that. So let's talk a little bit about that, Brianna. You know, what was kind of being told to you, and what were you trying to push yourself to be?
Okay, I'm just gonna say it. I was being groomed into believe that I was gonna date a pastor. And I'm gonna explain to you why. Not having a father figure in the home, and a lot of people can probably relate to this. You don't necessarily hear a man think, right? You don't hear a man express himself, articulate himself. You don't see the highs, the lows. You don't see any of those things. And so generally, the next person you hear do those things is your pastor, right? And I'm not saying that I was attracted to my pastor, but I was attracted to the expression, right? Like, he can articulate himself, he can pray, he can do all of these things. And I'm like, that's what I want, I think. Right. And so because that was the first time I heard someone articulate themselves, a man, and eloquently. Right. And so I thought I was going to date a pastor, but then I had to come to the harsh realization that I am an academic. I am in academic spaces. I am not in churches. I'm not in the church sphere a lot unless I'm going to church or serving. So I'm not meeting pastors. Those are not the people that I'm meeting. And when I did kind of meet pastors, I really just didn't like that lifestyle. It wasn't for me. I think it's for a specific type of person, and that just wasn't my desire. And so I think that in the past, I kind of cut off a lot of good guys because they wasn't praying all day and in the heavens all day. And that's just not a normal lifestyle of a man. They're not gonna do that. And so I think that I had bought into this belief subconsciously that if he wasn't praying all day, if he couldn't lead me through the word, even though I lead myself through the word in my own devotional right now, if he couldn't do all those things, then he was not worthy of my time. And I was sadly mistaken.
Yeah, no, that's definitely like a really huge point. And y'all, I'm telling you, like, we really get deep into this on the podcast, but something that like really stuck out to me when we were even talking, and even now, is still like this kind of thought process that, like, something that you said, Brianna, you were like, I currently right now, I lead myself through the word. I do my own devotion. I am focusing on, you know, walking through my word, walking with Christ and all of these things. And so I think that was so interesting. What really kind of came to my mind was like, are we like trying to kind of, you know, is there a sense of idolatry that we're having, even as, you know, women, or even men? Like, men will sometimes be like, oh, you know, I'm looking for, you know, a first lady type of deal. And I think we see these characteristics, and they're great characteristics. Like, they're beautiful characteristics, you know. But I think that sometimes we kind of cut out the person in the marketplace.
Absolutely.
We even cut out the artists, because there are great artists out there who, you know, are, I mean, they love the Lord. They're literally, they worship God with their instrument.
Yeah.
They worship God with their voice, and all of those things. Or we're counting out even, like, you know, the bus driver. We're counting out, you know, the person who is, I mean, we have to remember that we are human. Like, we have to remember that we're people, and we have to remember that we are people that are called to so many different areas of the world. You know, we are called into
7 mountains of influence. Absolutely.
Literally, like, we're going into teaching, we're going into finance, we're going into the legal and justice system, we're going into the creative area, we're going into, you know, so many different technologies, so many different spaces and places. And so when we're not seeing someone that is consistently, like, speaking in King James like dialect, we're like, oh my gosh,
they're not saved.
They're not saved.
I think that's the downfall of some kingdom teaching, right? Mm-hmm. It's a marketing. They market, some people market to women this idea that you should want this type of person, but we're not in places to meet these people. These people may not appeal to us. They might not even complement our destiny, right? And so I think that we have to, speaking of deconstruction, we have to widen our understanding of what a man or a woman of God is, and and be okay with the different expressions of men and women of God, because we are all made in the likeness and image of God, but we want to kind of have this one prototype, and that is not the expression of the kingdom. And so I would even venture to say something that TOU helped me discover was that I am a hybrid gift. I am not just an academic teacher. You know, my calling, my purpose is teaching, but sometimes I teach in prison. Sometimes I'm speaking to you all. Sometimes I'm in a women's shelter. Like, my assignment is different. And what if someone met me, right? A lot of people don't believe I'm a college professor, just how I look, whatever. But what if someone met me and told me that thought that I was unqualified because I wasn't praying in tongues and smelling like mothballs all day? Like, I think that's wrong.
No, and I really love that you said that, because here's something else, and people don't realize this, but some people, like, imagine you kind of going through this relationship with someone, and they're totally like in the church, and they're praying their face off, and they're a pastor, and the Lord calls them to totally shift.
Yeah.
Right. The Lord says, I want you to shift, and I am taking you to the education system, or the legal system, and or the medical field. It's like, what are you going to be upset? Are you going to, because and something that I really, really, really started to think about, like, how wrong it is to marry people and desire people only for their gifting,
their position. Absolutely.
For their position.
Yeah.
Because it's an idol situation that we're talking about, guys. Let's be real. This is idolatry. Let's be real about what it is. Let's call a thing what a thing. You are desiring to marry somebody for their position, for their gifting. And what happens when the Lord there's a shift, and the Lord calls them to the medical system, or the judicial system, or this or that? Are you going to be like, oh, I didn't sign up for this, so
I'm head on out.
I'm out. or what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And so that's such a good point, Brianna, because I mean, and then we also forget that, like, we as people, like you are thriving in education, and I am, within the marketplace right now, and, still in the creative sector. So it's so many different things, but I'm still a woman of God.
Absolutely.
You're a woman of God.
Absolutely.
And so if we exist,
yeah.
which we do,
yeah.
there's so many people that are from different spaces and places just like us that are thriving in their areas, and that, wake up on a Monday, at 6 and get their prayer on and then going about their day.
Yeah, we're called to let our light shine. That is what we're called to do. It has nothing to do with position. Whether you're in the marketplace, in ministry, wherever, you're supposed to be dominating your sphere of influence. So, a tree by its fruit, right? Are you dominating? Do you have all of these things in your sector? Can we talk about the practicality? Can you take care of yourself? Are you financially astute, right? All of these other things that day-to-day life matters. And I think sometimes we focus heavily over on this spiritual aspect when we have to remember that you're not in the heavens all day. You actually have to do life with this person, right? And so if they're not making good decisions, but have the position, you are in error. You're wrong, right? Yeah. And so I had to kind of get out of that mindset. Like, you're going to date a pastor. And when I started dating a pastor, I was like, oh.
I see that, he is a pastor, but he's not the one for me.
Yeah, he wasn't my guy, and that's completely fine. But I'm glad that I had that experience, because it showed me, like, no, you were wrong. You had believed a lie. And had you gone on believing this lie, you would have set yourself up. You would have probably married someone you don't even like, because the church has told you that this is someone you're supposed to desire and you really don't.
Yeah. So let's talk about navigating these waters. So I know for you, like, how was coming out of that mindset for you, and how did you navigate through that? Because now we're talking about, and really what it is that the people of God are scared to actually go out there and meet someone that's just as human as they are. So, and hey, I am also, I want you guys to know, I'm pointing the finger at me, because your girl was out here like, oh no, like, this isn't the right, so it's judgmental. Yeah. But coming out of that, let's talk about coming out of that mindset and that shallow nature and navigating,
I'm still coming out of it, right? It's a daily decision. It's a daily walk. I want to say, like, the first step was awareness. I had to be aware of myself. I used to try to force people to fit this pastor role, right? Force them into it. Like, you need to be reading. We need to pray together. And I'm like, sis, like, no, we don't. Like, I've been doing great without you. So, and I'm like, well, since you don't do this, then we can't be together, or we can't talk because you can't do blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and I end up like, oh, understand why they don't want to talk to me, right? But I had to also realize that, Brianna, dating, I mean, I know sometimes people have these preconceived notions about dating and how you shouldn't date, or you tell God, I don't want to date, just throw them out, right? Or make them come to my door. I don't know. And I had to realize, like, no, that's not how it's going to work. Like, I didn't know when I got out of TOU, I didn't know what I liked, right? Because I didn't date. I knew what people told me I should like, but I didn't know what I really liked. And so therefore, because I didn't know what I really liked, I had to go on a journey to discover, what do you like as a healed woman, right? So what you used to like, you probably still like some of it, right? But what else do you like, right? This mature version, this healed version of you, what else do you like? And I started dating guys, and it was trial and error. And I was sometimes still choosing the unavailables, right? Because even though I knew better, there was still a pool, there was still some residue there. I wasn't fully out of that. But then I also started to attract more healed men. And let me tell y'all, that kind of scared me at first, because I'm pretty much an alpha personality, right? I am a strong personality, and you match me with another strong personality who is healed. I'm like, one of us needs to back down. It ain't gonna be me, right? And they wasn't backing down either, right? And so I would kind of back off or shut down or whatever. And I learned through therapy that I had this fearful, avoidant personality type, right? That I wouldn't let people close. And so I had to work through that. And now I'm like, yeah, I do actually kind of I know what I need. Let me say that, right? It wasn't just what I wanted. I knew what I needed. And yes, spirituality was important, but other things were important as well.
I love that. I love that. That's so real coming out of that. So, we talked about first we talked about what, we liked before, before TOU, or for me, before, coming into Christ and TOU. And then after, or in the middle, like, oh, I'm learning these new things about myself, and I'm kind of understanding like what, and also let's talk about this. Like, did you set aside time to like kind of pray and talk to God about what your future held and where you were trying to go, and what type of person even was built for that?
Yeah, that was a journey. That was an unofficial conversation. That was something that I didn't plan on having. That was something that he had with me, right? What we don't realize is that we talk about standards a lot, but what we don't realize is that the creator, our God, has put standards within us to protect our purpose, right? And it is when we go against those standards that we ultimately almost always get our feelings hurt, right? Because we're dating someone that was never supposed to be in our lives or did not have our best interests. And we wanted to make it work. We want, certain things, but, we go against those standards. And so what I would say is that God put standards within me, deep within me. And so what I would try to date someone who was okay, good enough, right? So I would get a check in my spirit. Like, no, I never, almost never did I get this is why. This is just like, no, right? I said, no, this person isn't for you. And that's about it. And so as I continue to obey the no, God continued to reveal more about my destiny and more about my purpose. And so he had to give it to me in steps, right? First, you obey as a servant, and then you come into awareness as a friend of God. And so it was through obedience that I moved through becoming a friend of God, that I was finally able to say, these are the pieces of my destiny. And now I know that the type of person, I know how to choose the type of person that I need for my future, not for my right now.
That's so good. Yeah, because, and I see a lot of people are kind of receiving confirmation or even breakthrough by what you just said. And even I was just sitting there like, that is so true, because I know that I'm someone where I'll be like, God, is this the right move? Even for decisions, because we talked about earlier that navigating through dating and those types of things, that's really strengthening our muscle for decision making. So sometimes I'll be like, God, what's this, or should I do this? And I will hear and even feel a strong no. And then I'll be like, but why? Like, I know some people, even people that I'm connected to, that are like, why? But then as you further walk along with God, you begin to realize, and he'll even tell you like, this is the reason why, X, Y, and Z. But it's in those moments of obedience, just straight obedience, that strengthened.
Yeah. And I have a story. I think I told you this on the podcast, that even the guy that I'm getting to know now was someone that, and I know we're probably going to talk about dating now. So someone that I met on Tinder like 5 years ago, and we were friends we had been friends up until this point, but he had always been interested. I was kind of interested, but I just didn't feel like this is something we supposed to have done at the time. And maybe like 2 years ago, he approached the conversation again. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pray about it, see what's up. And God just like, no, like, I didn't give me an answer. It was just like, no. And then suddenly 2021, these feelings start coming around, and I'm like, hold up, wait a minute, because you said no in this last season, right? But the no was about me. I wasn't where I needed to be. And I would have sabotaged it, right? And so it is in that no and that obedient, when I'm like, I don't understand, maybe I wish you would tell me, but he knows, like, if you tell me why I can't do something, I'm going to try to fix myself so I can get to do it, right? Like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to try to manipulate the situation so I can get what I want. So that's kind of sometimes what God does. He's just like, will you obey when you don't understand, right? And I will reveal to you why. Right. I will reveal to you later why I said this thing. It was for your protection at that time. And I truly believe it.
Yes, absolutely. I have somebody in the comments, Nadia, who said, I love when he tells me no. Ain't nobody got time to be wasting. Okay. I hear you. No. And honestly, that obedience, and just kind of obeying the voice of the Lord really produces fruit. It really does produce fruit. So I really, really love that. So yeah, but back to what you were saying, Brianna, you were talking about just kind of like navigating the waters. And we talked a little bit about that in the podcast. And I want to talk about that even more here today, because we ventured into the area of just kind of setting a standard. So we're out here, we're in the real world, we're dating in the real world. We're not being fearful of people from different sectors and different areas and different, areas that they're called to. We're open, we're being open. We talked about how sometimes, there are people who may not be for us, or their standard may be a little different than ours, or, so forth. So let's talk about that, because we definitely spoke about just staying out of, lust and perversion, and also just kind of like just letting people know, being honest about where we stood with sex and where we stood in, different areas of our life. So let's get into the real deal, because we don't want to kill you. Because no, and the reason why I say this is because we're out here, we're in dating apps. Okay, we're out here. We're in the dating apps.
Pandemic.
We're in a panoramic. I'm sorry, a pandemic. We're out at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Kinda. Unless you get your things dropped off, because I know some people still don't want to go to the grocery store, but places have opened up a little bit. We're meeting new people. And so now that we're not super scared to date someone who we didn't particularly, because really what it is, guys, is we've come out of the mindset of only meeting people in church. Mm-hmm. So how do we navigate these waters? How do we figure out, okay, is this the right person? So forth. So let's talk about, some of your personal, things that you've done to kind of just safeguard yourself and things like that.
Yeah. So I think you hit on abstinence, sex, and things like that. So
yeah.
I think that's a major thing, right? I think some people are so afraid to date because they don't trust themselves. They think they're gonna fall. They think they're gonna, not be able to control themselves. And I just think that is an unhelpful mindset to have when you're trying to go into dating. Mm-hmm. Yes, there will be temptation, but if you only focus on, I don't want to be tempted, you're gonna be tempted. You're human. You're attracted to who you're attracted to. It's really about the boundaries and what you really believe. Do you really believe like kind of what you say, right? And so I've had a lot of guys head on out because I told them I was abstinent. And for me, I tell people ahead of time, before we go on our first date, I want you to be able to make an informed decision if you want to spend any money, right? Because I want you to know, I just feel like you should know sooner than later. I never want to take your choice away from you. And I know some people have mixed reviews, like you should wait. No, before you spend $1, before we go on a dinner date, I want you to know this is my walk. Now that has backfired on me a whole lot, right? But I'm not going to stop doing it because I believed in transparency and honesty. I had two situations, actually. I had a situation where a guy was, super interested. We're talking on the app and, it's cool. He's trying to set up a time to hang out. And, he's like, oh yeah, I get off work at 9 p.m. And I'm like, I'm in the bed at 8:30, bro. Like, I'm tired. And, I'm really not a night person like that, but I'm like, okay, well, tomorrow, let me know your off day. We can meet up during the day. Like, because I know, your defenses come down late at night, and go on a dinner date. Just don't go when your defenses are kind of down, right? And so he had started making some type of, comments like, oh, I think you're beautiful, things like that, but also more sexual advances. And I'm like, I guess I had been out of the space of guys making those type of advancements towards me. And I was like, is he like trying to come on? Like, so I just had to say it like, hey, I don't know if I told you this, but I think it's important to tell you that I'm abstinent, and I want you to be able to make that decision on if you want to continue to see me or continue to converse. And he was like, oh, okay, well, no, not really. I'm like, all right, cool. I really appreciate you taking the time to get to know me, like no hard feelings. And then he circled back like, so what is sex really like? You know, like trying to start negotiating.
Trying to tote the line. What
I was just like,
it?
we gotta have this conversation on what's, technically considered. You not down for it, and that's completely fine, right? That's not your walk. It's not for the faint of heart. No shade at all.
Yeah.
But I know me. It's not just that I'm trying to abstain because the Bible says so. I know that the reason why I'm so productive is because I have all of my strength and focus right now because I'm not sleeping with someone, right? And so I move through things so quickly because once, y'all, this is how people end up on Snaps. You get some good intercourse and they say we ain't together, you end up on Snaps. I don't want that to happen, right? But also, there was another situation where the guy said he wasn't sure, but he wanted to continue to get to know me. And we were getting to know each other for about 5 weeks. We both liked one another. And like probably 2 days before we ended things, we were on a date and I was like, hey, what is your favorite part about getting to know me? And he's like, I like how easy it is. I'm like, me too, right? It's so easy. And, we're planning to hang out on the weekend and then we texting and he's just like, I don't think I could do this. And I'm like, wait, what happened? Like, what just happened here? He's like, I just don't think I can wait to have sex with you. I'm so attracted to you, blah, blah, blah. But on deeper levels, the follow-up comment was that I don't think I could be who you would need me to be, even though I never said who I needed him to be. And so that they showed me that was we were having 2 different conversations. Like it wasn't the sex thing. It was really the destiny thing, right? You saw how big my purpose was and you potentially it scared you. And I get it. If you are not comfortable or you don't feel like you can add to the pie, because I felt like that about people in the past, it's best to head out early than later, than try to be like, oh, maybe we can work. No, you made your choice. And so it sucks. You take some L's, but not losses, but lessons, right? Your no or your yes to God gets a bit stronger and you're more able to think clearly on the type of person you want. But you have to ask yourself, like, is abstaining really important to me? I know the Bible teaches this and the church teaches this, but sometimes where we fail is that we don't really believe that we want to do that, right? And I had to get to a point where I actually believed that it was beneficial for me and not somebody telling me I should not do this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because at the end of the day, when it comes down to a point where and it's the guys, oh my gosh, it's the small decisions. People find themselves in that situation, like literally about to have sex or things like that. They find themselves there and they're like, oh, I just couldn't say no at that moment. And it's not the moment. It's not in that moment. There were yeses that you made before you got there. So and for those, and and I definitely want to speak, if you're someone who recently, if you're just coming out of, having sex before marriage or things like that, I want to encourage you, like, first of all, you can make the decision whenever, like this is a decision you can make today. You can make this decision today to, basically just honor your body and things of that nature. It can start today. That's 1. 2, no shame and condemnation, because a lot of people have been there. Okay. A lot of people have been there, and the Lord, his grace and his mercy is sufficient for you. Okay. It will literally carry you through. Okay. And then also, I just want you to know that, like, it's the decisions before. You have to know, what you are able to, what's a yes and a no for you. If you can't kiss, okay. Like,
if that's your thing,
that's okay.
Yeah.
If you can't hold hands, hey, that's okay. That's your thing. But I will definitely say, like, I love, Brianna, how you said, like, something that you also said in the podcast, was that you literally say, you get to choose. Like, I've already made my decision. I know where I stand on this. I know what my focus is on this. I know what I can and cannot do. And I'm being open and honest with you because you get to choose. I'm not forcing you into anything. So it's very interesting because I'll talk to a lot of people and they'll say, oh, I don't really want to talk about this quite yet. I don't want to scare this person off. That's the thing that people say. I don't want to scare this person off. I don't want them to think, X, Y, and Z and all of these things. But I just want to be honest and real with you guys. That can sometimes be manipulative.
For sure.
That's manipulative.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because you are almost trying to, have this person, form a connection with you, and you be the reason that they, hold off and they don't. But the decision, to abstain is not a decision. Like their devotion is not to you. Their devotion is to the Lord.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you're the sole reason why they're holding out, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work. And so I'd rather somebody, at least for me, I'd rather somebody be honest about where they're at. And, I can make my decision from there, whether I want to move forward or not, than, trying to get someone to, I guess, fall in love with me, which we grow in love over here. But trying to get someone to kind of like, be so attached to me and so, oh my gosh, well, I want to honor her, da, da, da. I want it to be a situation where I set the boundary and this person is like, okay, this is something that she definitely does not want to do. I don't want to make this decision. I don't want to go there. So I'm honoring that.
Yeah. And I think that something we also should mention as we're talking about honoring is that men are worth the wait too.
Yes.
We talk about a lot about women being the prize, but men are prizes for their woman too.
Yes.
And so I think we have to kind of stop buying into this elitist idea that only women should be waited for or only women deserve to be honored. No, we deserve to honor. Men deserve to be honored as well, and their bodies are important as well. And so I think that we should give them the option, like, hey, you don't got to give your body to me because you're giving me something important too, right?
Yes.
You're giving me your strength. You're giving me something important too. And so, yeah, like we both are assets. Right? We both can benefit one another, and we both are worthy to honor both of our bodies. Right? Yes. So yeah, I think we need to stop being one-sided with that.
I love that you brought that up because we'll definitely be touching on that later on in the season as well. Absolutely. I love that. I love that you brought that up because that's a common conversation that we definitely have on BTOP, and also just like we talk about, the men, where the men at in TOU. I know y'all up in here. So I love to see, you guys in the comments and things like that, because there are men in TOU, and there are men in TOU that are honoring themselves, that are waiting till marriage to have sex. And so it's just important that we honor their decision and our decision, that we shed light that both sides we're both, waiting till marriage and things like that. And I think also it's really encouraging to see our brothers in Christ here in TOU, because it lets you know that there are men that desire to wait till marriage. You don't have to settle. You don't have to settle. You can definitely continue to honor yourself in that way. Okay, so we are kind of getting into the next section. Thank you, Brianna. We've had an amazing conversation, and I'm actually going to ask another question, but before I do that, I definitely want to let you guys know that after I ask this question to Brianna, we are going to get into the Q&A portion. Yes, the Q&A portion of our chat today. So I really want you guys to go ahead and, drop your curiosities, or even, experiences or things that you want to ask about, our personal walks or things like that. But yeah, go ahead and begin to, ask questions. We want to interact with you guys. We want to chat. This is a conversation. We are literally just chatting here in TOU. We're all talking about our dating experiences. So go ahead and, start to get in the chat and talk about, what's been going on in the dating world. But so I definitely wanted to talk a little bit more with you, Brianna. So of course, TOU this year, it's been all the rage, the dating apps. Dating apps have been all the rage. And I know, Brianna, you are not new to this. You're true to this because you've been on the dating apps prior.
For sure.
You've been on the dating apps prior, but how has it been kind of navigating that for you? I'm coming out of the mindset, deconstructing and dating. How has that been, like, kind of sifting through different people?
On the dating apps?
Yes.
It's so much easier, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Come on, give us hope. Hope, come in the room, Hope.
It's easier because I know who I am, right?
Yes.
And I'm able to choose from a place of destiny and not like, oh, I'm scared, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm very sure of myself. I'm confident. And so I'm also confident in my choices and confident in the Holy Spirit because, you know, I can't turn them off even if I wanted to. So, you know, when I'm on the apps, and I've been on probably all of them, maybe if you can download on your phone and it's free, I probably have been on them. And so, you know, when I'm thinking about Tinder, Bumble, wherever else it's out there, I am first of all following this formula. Like, am I attracted to you? First and foremost, am I attracted to you? Right. So I'm looking at your photos, but I'm also something that I also value is a bio. You didn't take the time to write anything about yourself. I'm not gonna swipe right, or I'm not gonna try to engage with you because it shows to me you didn't take it seriously, right? Yeah. And I'm really trying to get to know someone and create a relationship with someone. And so, no, I'm not going to do that. Some photos, I'm not going to swipe. Like, y'all know, if y'all been on a date now, people got their middle fingers up, they got their drinks out. Like,
yeah,
it just doesn't appeal to me, right? And so the photos, if I'm interested, right? Are you interested in this person? I never want to go into like, he can grow on me. No. If I'm not interested, you know, that has to be the bare minimum, right? Like, I think you're attractive. I ain't saying you got to be fine and laid to the side, but you have to be attractive, right?
Yeah.
And the same for men. You have to be attracted to the woman you are conversing with. I think so. I think attraction is super important. Secondly, the bio situation. Thirdly is how we engage in the first conversation. If you talking about, hey, what's up, ma? I'm not your girl, right? If you talking about whatever, I'm not your girl, right? But if you come to me, if in some of the apps, I have to speak first. I have no problem speaking first because I know sometimes women be like, I can't speak first. I'm traditional. We choose what we're traditional about.
This is true.
You're not shooting your shot. You're saying hello. Right.
Okay, being polite.
There's nothing wrong with that. And so, you know, if I have to speak first, I'll say, hey, hello, such and such. How's your day going? You know, have a normal conversation. This is a social experiment in a lot of ways, right? Engage in a conversation. And so, you know, if we hold a conversation, then eventually we move off app. You know, texting, maybe a FaceTime call so I can gauge who you are or your personality outside of the written text and things like that. And if I feel like, okay, I'm still interested, then we may set up a date. My location services are always on with my friends. I'm letting them know who this person is. This is the information I have about them. This, you know, I'm a professor. I can research you. I can find stuff about you before you even know it. Okay. And so like I have given my friends a rundown. I turn my location services on. Many people know where I am, who I'm with. They're calling in, they're texting in, you straight, you good, things like that. Like I have a whole checklist before I meet the person. And I also listen to God. If God said, nah, you ain't going on that date, I'm like, hey, nah, I ain't gonna be able to make it. Sorry, I'm gonna head on out. Because I'm not gonna question. I'm not gonna say, oh, he fine. No, I have done enough work, right, to where I can trust myself and I can trust my ears about hearing from God. And so it does take a little time to, you know, meet the diamonds in the rough, but you know, you have to wade through it. It takes a lot of time meeting people in person, getting to know them in person. And so I think that if dating apps are more convenient right now, which they are, no one is really going to the stores like Sloane mentioned. No one is really meeting people at the movies. No one's really out like that. You have to engage with people in the best way that you are able to meet them. Don't be sitting in the house. If you're sitting in the house on Friday nights because you want to, not because you can't get a nice date.
I love that. I love that you talked about just kind of navigating through those different spaces and spheres, and honestly, just kind of like, first of all, y'all, please go out, you know, go outside, enjoy. My biggest thing is go outside and enjoy life, guys. Go outside and enjoy life. Yes. And also don't, and this is also what I want to say for those of you guys who are like going out there and feeling anxious when you go outdoors, that's probably because your mindset is really like, oh, I have to meet somebody, or like, oh my gosh, I'm out here and I'm out here trying to meet. go outside to enjoy yourself, period.
Yeah.
Go outside to enjoy yourself, period.
Yeah.
When you go on a date to enjoy yourself. If you're not having a good time,
yeah,
leave.
yeah.
It's not a good time. It's not a good time. And someone was like, we don't date potential. I love y'all in this chat. You guys are hilarious.
Yeah,
so
we shouldn't date potential. But I think something we should also say, and right now, is that sometimes we go on a date saying, is this the one? Right?
Yeah.
I am dating with marriage in mind. I think that that's cool. But if you're not dating to get to know this person and make a valuable human connection, you are trying to skip over so many steps that you sabotage at the end, right? You need to date to get to know this person, to build a foundation, to build a friendship. And yeah, marriage is the end goal, but you have to get there. So focus on the now. Focus on getting to know them and see if you're compatible and things like that, not, grilling them about marriage and stuff like that. Like, I think that makes you come off as thirsty. It can still be a desire of yours, but Jesus, it's our first date.
Relax. Yeah, we want to have a good time. We want to enjoy. Yes. I love it. I do. There's some people who are asking you some questions, and I'm super duper excited. So someone said, do the men have a problem with you being abstinent, profess to be Christian? Just curious, but I should be shocked if they do. That's an interesting. I don't know what that means.
Should I answer?
Yeah, go ahead and answer.
Yes, they are Christian, but let's be clear, just because people say they aren't Christian, they're Christian, we all don't have the same convictions, right? Mm-hmm. And so I can't say that if someone is out here having sex that they're not Christian. I cannot make that judgment call. So yes, they do say that they're Christian. It's just not their conviction to abstain from sex, right? So yeah, absolutely. They're believers. I don't go on dates with people who are not believers. And so a believer is kind of like, that's the foundation, right? You say you're Christian. Okay, let me see what kind of Christian you are. Like, where are you in your Christian walk? Where are we? Because they may be just starting out, right? They may be new to the faith, or they may be seasoned and just like, I'm going to let that thought out. Like, I don't care, right? Like, it matters. It matters.
Yeah, it matters. You gotta be aware of, you ask the questions. That's what happens when you get to know someone and you're in it to make a genuine connection, because you, rather than being so focused on the end goal of just getting straight to marriage, you're actually listening to what someone is saying and enjoying the conversation. So yeah, sorry, my girlfriend Jordan, I didn't understand what your question was, but that was a really good question. I'm sorry, I was reading it weird. So we do have another question. Someone was asking, how do you deal with a guy who's lying about their faith, or have you ever dealt with someone who's kind of lied about their faith, I guess?
Yeah, so lie is such a strong word. I have dated someone who was a Christian, yes, and he even, when we first were getting to know each other, he even hit me with the "do you go to church" conversation, because I didn't bring it up at first, right? And so I'm like, actually, I do. So let's talk about it, right? Yeah. And so we're talking about like, so how do you spend your time with God? Like, he opened that door because I guess maybe he thought the church was the only gauge. But when we started to converse about more spiritual things, he just was like, that ain't me. I go to church, right? And so I can't say, I don't know what you mean by lying. Like, I would need more information. If you feel like they're trying to maybe embellish a bit and try to say that they're more spiritual than they are, or they believe certain things that they really don't believe, I think it's your decision to decide to either put up with it or you get to leave. It's your choice. You don't have to. If you feel like someone's lying to you and lying is something that you can't tolerate, then I think you could have the right to head on out. You don't have to deal with it.
I definitely think in regards to what they asked, I definitely think that it just kind of goes back to, there are people that have different standards than you might have. And it's real. Like, it's not just about like, are you a Christian? Because the term Christian can be used so many different ways, guys. I mean, we just have to be honest about what's going on in the culture of today. Some people can say that they're Christian and it can mean a different thing to them than it means to you. And so I think what's really important is just kind of understanding and knowing, what do you live your life by? What are your pillars in your life? And just kind of, being mindful about what that is and asking the questions that are necessary so that you can get a feel of who the person is. And over time, you'll, because here's the thing, people can definitely say, you know, this is my standard, this is not this, but people go through seasons, guys. And so we have to be aware of that. Like this person, they may be, you know, solid, and then something happens, and then, you know, the switch up happens. And I'm not saying that, oh, it's okay and that's fine. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying that you have to make a decision. Absolutely. You have to ask the questions. You have to go in on the date, being curious, getting to know the person, making sure that they're feeling seen, loved, and heard, but being curious and understanding, like, we're still building right now. Yeah. We're building, we're getting to know one another. And also, just because you go on 1 date, 2 dates, 3 dates, 5 dates, 6 dates, 7 dates, that does not mean that person is your wife and or husband. Okay. Yeah. You are still getting to know this person. Absolutely. You can, and I even feel this so strongly. Like if this is you and you've been getting to know someone for like a couple months now, but you're feeling like, you know, this isn't it, and you're feeling the Lord is pulling you out of it, don't stay in it because you're like, well, I've invested all of this time. Yep. Well, you don't want to invest yourself into a marriage and then shortly find out that you have to get out of this. Yeah. Like, let's be real and you know, be curious, guys. Be curious. Be curious. Yeah. Yeah. So let's see what else you guys are really dropping some really, well, you guys are having some great conversations in here, I'll tell you that much. But a lot of people are, you know, concerned about different things building with a man. People are saying, don't be afraid to ask. Yes, guys, don't be afraid to ask. Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask the questions that you need answers to, because the reality is, if you don't ask those questions, you'll be lost. So,
but not even just ask. Oh,
go ahead.
Not even just ask. Don't be afraid to say what you really desire, right? Sometimes we stifle ourselves or we muzzle ourselves because we're afraid to say what we really want. Not just ask them a question, but say, hey, this is my real desire. This is what I really want. When I first started therapy, my therapist was like, hey, Brianna, do you think you can go on a date and just lay your cards out on the table? I'm like, no. And he's like, why? And I'm like, I would never be able to do that, right? I would never be able to say what I really desire because it would scare somebody away, right? And when this cycle, for some reason, I'm like, hey, here's where I'm at. I'm not trying to convince you. These are my desires. What you think? Like, can you meet them or not? And vice versa. I'm not arrogant to believe that I'm for everybody. I am not, right? And so when they lay their cards on the table, I get to choose. Can I meet it? No? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to say, I think I can meet it when I know for sure I'm not that person. And I would likely never be that person because I wasn't wired to do certain things. So, yeah.
I love that. If it's not for you, that's okay. There's somebody else out there. I think that this is a very interesting topic, a question that someone asked, because I don't think we get to talk about this kind of enough in TOU because we just haven't touched on it super duper deeply yet. But how do you leave when you realize you're no longer interested?
Ooh.
I love that.
Well, so I would say don't ghost. I think ghosting is the easiest thing to do. I think we just like stop answering the phone or be like, I'm gonna call you back. Let me close the refrigerator type situation and never call you back. Like I used to ghost people, right? And then I got ghosted and I felt how horrible that really feels. So I think that you should always go in like, what if this was my friend? How would I say this to this person? And this is when you got to put your adult undies on, right? Because you decided with your mouth that you're going to entertain this person. Yeah. So you need to decide with your words that you're not going to entertain this person. And so always remember, the way that I kind of give feedback to people, not necessarily dating, but my students, is I make a sandwich, right? I tell them the great things. I tell them something that I don't really think, but follow up with the great things and then gracefully head on out. That way you're not fully killing this person with your words. You're saying, hey, I really like these things, blah, 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 but I realize that whatever it is that you realize, but I really do want to say I appreciate whatever. And I just think that, you know, this isn't the best decision for me at that time.
Yeah, I really love that, guys. Like, I would really, like Brianna said, like putting your big grown up underwear on. I would like to add to that even further. Like, if you if you feel strongly enough that you're able to jump into the dating scene, you are mature enough to jump into the dating scene and navigate those waters, then you are mature enough to have a conversation with someone and let them know that you're no longer interested. If you are someone that is fearful of, and honestly, here's the reality of it. You have to be confident in making the decision for yourself to let something go. I think that ghosting is honestly a cop out. I think that ghosting is not navigating your emotions well. It's also not allowing yourself to be honest about what it is that you desire and what you don't desire, and vocalizing that. I think it's important that we are honest and we are integral in the dating space, just as honest and integral that we must be in every area of our life with letting someone know that we're no longer interested. I also think that sometimes ghosting creates unnecessary soul ties. And it also, you have to understand, like, so someone else's kind of, I guess, rejection or abandonment or whatever issues that, different people may have that, we pray that they, get deliverance in. It's not our, responsibility, but at the same time, it is our responsibility as, brothers and sisters to honor our other brother and sister, and to at least let someone know, like, hey, like, if they get triggered, then that's something that they're gonna have to walk out. But don't be someone's, you don't know where this person is. Like, you may not know where they are, mentally. And I just do not like the idea. This is just me. Now, this is me talking. I just don't like the idea that, we would cause unnecessary damage because we aren't mature enough and we jumped into, dating like, oh, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to be out here, and not, at least be able to let someone know honestly how we feel.
And that is when you're actually practicing for the relationship you want, right? Everyone says communication is the key. Well, you're practicing communication right here. You're going to have hard conversations with your spouse, your boyfriend or girlfriend. So you need to start practicing in getting that muscle big enough and your courage up in order to have those conversations later in the relationship.
I'm reading, because the person that we responded to, they've been kind of adding tidbits on after that. They got some curiosity. I think basically what they're saying is, so I think the person is kind of saying that they're not really having a lot of potentials, and that maybe their matches on different sites are kind of slim. I will say, like, if this is something that you're dealing with and you are trying to navigate through like not having potentials, and I would say don't hold on to someone that you're not interested in. I think that's kind of what you're asking, like, oh, should I continue this or should I let it go? But I definitely think that you should release someone. That's somebody else's husband and or wife. That's someone else's husband or wife.
And you're occupying space of someone who could potentially come in your life. And so I would say, like, don't hold on to someone because you're afraid to not have nobody to talk to. Like, I roll over in the cold spot every night, I'm reminded I'm single, but, I realized that, how would you feel if someone strung you along knowing they weren't interested? Like, it's kind of like the monkey bars, right? You're grabbing one until you can swing to the next one. Like, how would you feel if someone just held on to you knowing that they weren't interested, just because they didn't have any more options, but when a better option came along, they dropped you? Like, that's not great. That's not good. And you want to be upstanding, because how you start out is how you're going to finish, right?
Yeah, we have somebody else who said, have you ladies ever messed up so much recently that you're in a place where you need to rebuild for 1 year? I wanted to answer this. I want us to touch on this because there are a couple things. This is kind of like a jam-packed question. Two things that are jumping out to me in this question is messed up and 1 year. Now, I don't know, Brianna, if you want to go first, or if you...
Can you give me the question again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Have you ladies ever messed up so much recently that you're in a place where you need to rebuild for 1 year?
Yeah. I started the conversation saying that I was coming out of a on and off again 7-year relationship, and I didn't date for an entire year. But I want to kind of talk about messed up so badly. Like, yeah, you may have done some things and you may need a new perspective, but there's no reason for you to isolate yourself for a year or restart your life for a year. It's possible to continue building and make different decisions as you continue to progress or continue to move forward. And so I want to just say, like, yes, I've been in a place where I felt like, man, I just need a restart. Like, just throw the whole year away and let me get a new year, right? But I've also realized, like, I had to challenge my perspective. What did you learn? What got you here? And what can get you out, right? And so I think sometimes in the place of mess up, in this wilderness place, that's the place where you have the most potential to grow. And so I don't want you to be so hard on yourself when you're saying, you know, I messed up so badly. No, you did the best you could with the information that you had. And now that you have different information, you get to choose differently. And who's to say that you need a year to change it or turn it around? It can happen more quickly than that. And so I want to challenge you to, one, get out of self-defeat, right? Challenge that self-defeat. But secondly, understand that even your mistakes or what you may feel like are major are just minuscule in the hand of God, and that he can turn around the situation more quickly if you give it to him and commit to the journey.
The person's name is Nina, and everything, Brianna, everything that you said, like, I love that, because I really resonate with this, Nina, because this was me about 3 years ago. And this was also just like, I really want to say is, like, you know, we make mistakes as people. Like, I think back 3 years ago, I had found myself in a very particular place where I had opened myself up to so many different things. I hadn't got saved yet. I was trying to find my way into, you know, with Christ and things like that. And so I had it in my mind that I had to kind of earn God's love in that season. I had it in my mind. So I was like, well, I need to kind of stop this and hold off for, like, I think I said to myself 5 years, actually. I said to myself 5 years. And was that, I mean, the time that I took, because I did take 3 years to just kind of sit with myself, it was very necessary for me. But what I will say is, I wish I didn't think of it as a prison sentence. And I wish I didn't choose that decision as punishment for myself, because the idea of, like, messed up, or you're not ready for this because you're not good enough, because you've done this and you've done that and you've done this. And when I started to see myself kind of want to date again, I still had those things in my mind. When literally what Brianna said is, like, you did the best with the information that you had. I didn't know, you know, I didn't know where I was going at that time. I didn't know what the love of the Father was in that season of my life. So I definitely kind of wanted to answer that question, because I know that, you know, we make mistakes, guys. I know that a lot of you in TOU, you might have been in the course, and then you maybe made some decisions that you aren't too proud of, but God still has a plan for you. Like, you're not disqualified. And so what I will say about the kind of taking some time to yourself, I know that people go into the place of prayer. So if you went into the place of prayer and you heard a year, honor that. Okay. I totally honor that. And I think that you should definitely honor that too. If you're going into that space of that year, you know, just kind of make it a thing of, you know, I'm just kind of building with the relationship with Christ. Maybe not so much of like I just can't date because, you know, I made this bad decision and yada, yada, yada. Make it more so like, or not even make it more so, but like, and you know what? It may not be a year, it may be 6 months, it may turn into 2 years, but it's not even a matter of like, oh, I'm just not ready to date. It may just be a matter of, I'm just walking with God. And when the Lord says, no, that's not the right person, I'm obedient to that. When the Lord says, you know, this is a good date to go on, I'm obedient with that. You know, like, just kind of really, I think it's more so about just kind of strengthening your relationship with Christ. And really focusing on that kind of walk with God versus kind of like, I've got this year to crack this habit. Like, more so like, you know what, let me just take some time and just chill with God real quick, because I see some things are a little off. And then what you'll find when you make it more so about your relationship with Christ versus it being kind of like a jail cell, you'll find that, because we don't want to be in jail, y'all. We are free. But what you will find in the moments of you just kind of like walking with Christ is that you'll start to see your mindset even shift to what it was that you thought. You'll start to see your mindset shift into a place where it's kind of like, oh no, well, you know what? Because I've been in a space where I'm like, you know what? I feel confident kind of dating, but I actually have really started to gain strides in this area in my work ethic. And I kind of really want to, literally what you said, Brianna, place my energy there. So this is kind of what I want to do right now, or I kind of wanted this, or I kind of wanted that. So I love that question. I know that was long-winded, but I know that a lot of people have that happen in TOU, and we don't really talk about what happens when you find yourself in a rut.
So it's a question over here I really want to answer.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the question is, so I'm abstinent myself, and I've had friends ask me this question: what if you get married to a guy and the sex is not that great? What are your thoughts? Has someone ever asked you that question? And I think that's a fantastic question, right? I think sometimes we over spiritualize that answer, like, oh, I just trust God. Okay, yeah, that too. But also, I think the more practical thing is this: someone had to teach you what you liked at first, right? You didn't know you liked it. Someone taught you, what you liked. And so that is where this confidence and building muscles is. You may have trash sex with someone at first because they may not know the intricacies of what you like and things like that. But that is where the trust of the marriage, right? And the trust of the person comes in. It comes down to a conversation. You're going to have to teach them. They're going to have to teach you. Like if you've had sex outside of marriage, then, you have these things that you're pulling from, these experiences that you're pulling from, and, comparing this person. That's why it's important that you get divorced from these people before you enter marriage. But also there are certain things that you like, and there's nothing wrong with telling the person, hey, I like this. Hey, let's try this. Like, this is a learning journey. So I think when people try to ask that question, because I'm asked that question a lot, it's out of fear, right? As if sex is the only thing that you're not going to like, right? Somebody may run your credit into the ground, and you talking to me about sex. I mean, I'm not saying it's not important. It is important, but there are other things that can ruin your life than someone not knowing how to please you. And it all comes down to trust and a conversation with the sanctity of the marriage. Because guess this, at this point, you trust this person fully. They want to please you because they are yours. You want to please them because you are theirs. And that is where the beauty of the coming together experience is. But you have to be comfortable in saying these things, expressing yourself, and knowing that your partner is not going to look at you, if it's within reason, and gonna look at you shady, like, girl, what? But it's about desiring to please and express the highest amount of love for the other person. And so I think that when people ask you that, you have to really say, like, understand, like, sex is a piece of it. Yeah. But there are other reasons why you can be married and the sex be fantastic and you still get divorced because the person was not integral. The person had poor money management skills. The person was abusive, things of that nature. And so we're trying to get you to be more well-rounded when we're talking about these things. And so there's always a concern. That concern would never go away. If I told you that it's not in the back of my mind, I would be lying to you too. But I try to focus on the more productive things that I can really test out right now. And so,
yeah, that's so good. Intimacy is something that's built over time, when you first begin a relationship with someone, be that any type of relationship, you don't right away just know exactly what the person likes, what the person doesn't like. Even in arguments, you learn in time, and honestly, you guys, I'm saying this because I believe Rob and Brittany definitely touched on this in the marriage phase of TOU, where they kind of talked about like learning your spouse, learning the person that you're with. This is a new level of intimacy, because probably before marriage, you guys, haven't had sex, and you guys have just been kind of learning each other, conversationally, and maybe, however way, you know, you like to get to know the person. But so that's the kind of thing, like that side is something that's kind of grows. I mean, love grows, it grows.
Yeah.
Relationships grow just like that. Intimacy also grows.
Yeah.
So I think you just have to I think you have to understand that, like, I guess if it was bad, I mean, speaking up and letting someone know, like, you know, what you like, what you don't like. And I think that just using your voice in that way, I'll say male and female, like, you know, you guys, I think that's also kind of a part of honoring yourself.
Yeah.
Is speaking up for yourself and letting people know, you know, how you feel. So yeah, guys, oh my gosh. Go ahead.
Sorry. One quick thing. You have to ask yourself, who is your standard of good? Because you're still comparing that to something, right? You haven't gotten that out your mind and gotten that out your system. So who are you comparing this person to? And that could be an issue. And if the person was so great, you probably married him too, right? It was other things, right? The sex was great, but you're not with him, right? So you have to kind of think about it. I'm not saying we would never know if the person would have unsatisfying sex. We don't know until we get in a position, but also we can teach the person how to satisfy us. It's a conversation, it's a learning experience, and that's where we get to practice grace in the sanctity of marriage and safeness.
Yes, I love that. So thank you so much, Brianna. I love chatting with you. We've chatted on different I feel like this is our third platform chatting together.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it. I love it. Every time I have a conversation with you, it's so, so good. I want you guys to, you know, give it up for Dr. Brianna because she really came in and shared her story with us. And Brianna, go ahead and let everyone know where they can connect with you at.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You can follow me on Instagram. It's the Book of Brianna, Briana. Or you can subscribe to my website and check out some of my products. It's www.briannawhiteside.com. And if you want to publish a book, come into Whiteside Publishing. I'd love to have you.
Okay.
But yeah, so my website, www.briannawhiteside.com, or over on Instagram, I'm more active there, the Book of Brianna.
Yes. So guys, Brianna is on episode 6, Dating and Deconstructing. You guys will see more of that soon. Next month we have another guest coming in, and it's gonna be I can't wait I can't even tell y'all. Woo! I'm excited. I can't even tell y'all, but I'm really, really excited. Thank you so much, Brianna, for, you know, coming on here. For those of you guys who are not a TOU member, but you joined us tonight, thank you so much for, you know, being here with us. We hope you had a great time. This is something that we do in TOU all the time. So, you know, if this is something that you're into, stay connected with us. Follow us on Instagram, Becoming the One, on IG, or you can also connect with us at Married and Young on IG. Also, our Facebook's the same, The One University, and then also Married and Young, where we continue to chat. And so thank you guys. Thank you to the TOU members. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Let's continue this conversation in the Facebook group. Okay. I'll definitely be in there talking, chatting with you guys. I secretly always am. You just don't know that it's me. But there's also other people on the team that chat with you guys. But yeah, we love it. We love it. So let's take this conversation to the Facebook group. And I will see you guys next month, where we're going to talk a little bit more about some other people, you know, dating experiences. We'll keep the good times rolling. Yes. So thank you, Miss Brianna, and everybody have a great night.
Good
Bye.
night.